Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out December 15th, 2018 from Stars and Stripes. You know, fentanyl can kill mass and masses of people. And America, in my opinion, and some of you may not agree with me, I believe are afraid of China. And the reason why I say this is because this fentanyl thing has gone on for so long. Thousands are being taken out every single week on this fentanyl. Now, I know they're trying to tell us these lowball numbers, but don't believe the hype. This is far worse than what they're telling you. In fact, by now, most of these families that are affected by this drug, they either know someone or have a friend or family member that have been killed by fentanyl. Now, just 100 pounds of fentanyl can kill millions of people, which is very true. And China right now is using this as a weapon of mass destruction on America. That's exactly what's happening. And we know the intended target, but see, it amazes me how these folks are not mad at China. They're not putting China under any mass scrutiny. And like I said to you before, don't think for one moment these Chinese people on this American soil are not heavily involved in these drugs. Don't you believe it for one moment. They are. But you notice how they're being conveniently left alone and nobody is holding their feet to the fire. And not to mention, y'all, there are probably more illegal Chinese people in this country than there are Mexicans. But they won't talk about that. Like I said, it must be a money thing. As long as you give America money, you can kill as many of Americans as you want. Now, I remember this was years ago when I was on a job, and this woman proceeded to tell me they were against communism and, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, you're not. You're not against communism. And she was like, oh my God, how can you say that? And I said, and this is how I can say it. If America was really against communism, why did you let these Chinese people come in here and set up a Chinatown in every major city across this country? Okay, if you were against communism, you would never have allowed that. But you did. You know why you did? Because as long as somebody got a big enough dollar, you can come over here and do whatever you want in America, including kill Americans with your drugs. And that's exactly what's happening. You got a big enough dollar, America will leave you alone, even if you're killing the American people. America's a whore. Okay, as I stated to you before, if Satan himself came to America and said he wanted to start a Satan town in every major city, as long as he got a big enough dollar, America will let him do it. So let's get into this article. It would take only 118 pounds of fentanyl to kill 25 million people. That's how much the powerful opioid painkiller Nebraska State Trooper Sam Mortensen found in April when he stopped a truck marked U.S. Mail swerving into the shoulder along Interstate 80. Rolling up, the trailer door revealed an empty hold, but just below the refrigeration unit, behind a plastic panel secured with mismatch bolts, Mortensen found 42 brick-shaped packages, weighed 54 kilos, full of fentanyl. The drug is so potent that even a small amount, the equivalent of a few grains of salt, can be lethal. And some of these cops have overdosed just from inhaling fentanyl. Now, some of them, sometimes all of them, get sick when they try to go on drug raids inside of houses with fentanyl. They all get sick. Okay. Every last one of them. Now, I've done stories on that too. Okay. Fentanyl is emerging as the most dangerous of a group of drugs blamed for creating a U.S. public health crisis. American deaths linked to fentanyl grew more than 50% from 29,406 last year to 19,413 in 2016. Well, remember, they're only reporting that on 22 states. So you could probably double or triple that number, and it'll give you the real true number. National Institute on Drug Abuse, relatively easy to manufacture. The drug is turning up on more streets as dealers thrive to meet still enormous demand for opioids in America. Fentanyl is revolving, and they're right. It is changing. They change up the analog constantly. So they make chemical changes to the fentanyl constantly, which kind of keeps America at a disadvantage because they have to finally figure out what the new drug is on the street. And it takes them a while to figure this out. So, in the meantime, this stuff has already been sold to thousands of people before America labs can figure out what the chemical composition is of the fentanyl. So, they're smart. They keep on changing this drug over and over. There's never been a drug like fentanyl before, said Josh Bloom, Senior Director of Chemical and Pharmaceutical Research at the American Council on Science and Health. For street drugs, this absolutely destroys anything else in terms of lethal and danger. Fentanyl, okay, they always say that in everyone, is 50 times more potent than heroin. They say that in every article. The fatal potential of even glancing contact with fentanyl is a major reason why national security experts are becoming alarmed at the prospect of it being used to solve terror. And it's already being used for that purpose. China is wiping your asses out. Those Chinese people know that's dealing this stuff and selling it on the dark web. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And I've been saying this now for 2 years. China knows exactly what they're doing with this fentanyl. They want you to die. They want to kill off the American people. They have an agenda to become the world superpower. They don't care how many of you die and fall to these drugs. You know, and it's amazing. This fentanyl thing, ladies and gentlemen, did not start overnight. It's been going on for quite some time. But it's amazing how they're mad at everything except for the Chinese people. They're more mad at us, who's not even killing them with fentanyl, than these Chinese people who are killing them, killing their family, killing their relatives, their friends. But no, they're not mad at Chinese people. Let's go after Lisa Cabrera. You dumbasses. Woo, y'all some dumb people. But let's move on. Um, if ground up fentanyl is placed on everyday objects, people could easily put their fingers in their mouth or rub their eyes and have a deadly reaction. Now, some of you might remember I did a story on a little black boy that went to a pool party. And on his way home, after he left his pool party, he collapsed and died. And it was believed that he came in contact with fentanyl. And I did another story on a child that was in the house, and this family was having a party at their house, and the same thing happened. Their child died from coming in contact with fentanyl that somebody brought to this party that had in the house. So you don't have to take fentanyl to be impacted by it, is what I'm saying to you. You don't have to take it to be impacted by it. Narcan is carried by many police and paramedics, especially in hard hit areas. Now, also, because fentanyl is so powerful, it takes a lot of Narcan to bring them back. Now, 2 hits of Narcan is not going to bring someone back that took a lot of fentanyl, that, have things laced with fentanyl. I did a story on a man that needed, I think, 21 hits of fentanyl before he actually came back. 21 hits. So the more fentanyl they use, the harder it's going to be for them to revive these people. It doesn't take 1 or 2 blasts of Narcan. It now takes multiple. You may be sitting there giving them so much fentanyl, it's not even funny. And just think about the people that they just let go after so many hits. They just declared them dead. Okay, so, but people incapacitated by fentanyl frequency require multiple doses. That's what I'm saying. Even some police and other emergency official who mistakenly ingested or absorbed, because, if fentanyl can pass through the skin and cause an overdose, or it can be on somebody's clothes and you touch that person innocently, just touching them, and you instantly overdose. That's how powerful it is. So you don't have to ingest it or snort it or shoot it up at all. You just come into contact, or there's residue of fentanyl in the air, which a lot of these DEA agents have experience, and they automatically start overdosing on the fentanyl. It's real powerful. Again, these Chinese people made that stuff and they know what it does, and it's doing exactly what they want. Take out all of these Americans. Okay, even some police and other emergency officials who mistakenly ingest or absorb the drug have needed multiple blasts of Narcan to be brought back. Last year, a police officer, Chris Green, made a traffic stop in East Liverpool, Ohio, and ended up with fentanyl powder on his shirt. After another officer pointed it out back at the station, Green brushed it off with his hands, and soon paramedics were rushed, had to rush him to the hospital. In fact, I did the story on him. He made it, but that just goes to show you how easy it is for you to overdose and even die from fentanyl. And see, I think it's dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, that they're asking the general public to carry Narcan and to help these drug addicts, because it may seem like a good idea to many people, but I think it's dangerous. And it's dangerous because you don't know what that addict took. You don't know what residue they have on their clothes. You don't know if they came in contact with fentanyl or not. It's not like you can eyeball them and tell exactly what they take or what caused their overdose. You can't. So, in my opinion, is because we know fentanyl is everywhere now, it's too much of a risk touching these junkies out here and not know what's wrong with them. You don't know if it's just a heroin overdose or it's cocaine and fentanyl. You don't know. You don't know if it's meth overdose with fentanyl. There's no way of telling that. And you coming in contact with these people can cause you to overdose. I just don't think it's a good idea for them to do this, but I know why they're doing it. They're doing the Narcan thing, passing it out in the public, because these cops and these EMTs and Fire departments are overwhelmed in trying to revive these junkies out here. That's why they don't want to come out and tell you that, because then it will pull the Band-Aid off on how bad it is. It's so bad now they need to get the public involved. They're spending their whole days reviving a bunch of junkies. That's what's happening. You know, they're not passing that. Pennsylvania did a statewide giveaway of Narcan because they can't handle all of the people that's overdosing. It's too much. It's too much for their cops and everybody that's running out trying to save them. So now they're getting the public involved. I know what's going on, but see, they're not going to come out and say that. They're just going to say, oh, everybody can be an EMT. I don't want to be an EMT. If I wanted to be an EMT, I would have went into that profession. But this is what they're trying to mastermind. And believe me, there's going to be other states following Pennsylvania and handing out Narcan statewide so that you can be out here in contact with somebody that you don't even know what the hell is wrong with. And people are going to mistake, you know, because many folks are not professionals, they're going to mistake other things for drug addiction. What if somebody falls out from a heart attack and you don't know that that person is having a heart attack and you just assume it's a drug addiction and you start shooting Narcan and that's not what the person needs? You ain't going to always see a person pass out. Sometimes they will pass out and you don't know why they passed out. But I think it's dangerous, you know, because it's easy to mistake an illness or somebody passing out from a major illness for a drug addiction. I mean, I don't think these folks are really thinking about what they're doing. They're just so desperate to get folks out here to help these drug addicts. You know, the people that you're passing this to, they are not medical experts. And they're not going to know what's wrong with a person on the spot. And if somebody is having a heart attack or a stroke and you sitting up there shooting Narcan in this person instead of giving them the help they need, that's a problem. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. You know, fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. And you know what? I do believe that. You know, China has used drugs. If you go back and look at their history, they have used drugs as a form of warfare. That's how they made all of China communists. If you go and look at their history, when China was trying to become communist back in the 40s, part of their country were resisting and they did not want to become communists. So what China did, they spent 3 years pushing all this opium into areas that were not communists. They waited. And then when the people were all strung out on drugs, they went in there and took over the place and ended up making all of China communist. That's how they did it. They did it with drugs. And look, they're looking to be a superpower now. How do you destroy your enemy? You use drugs. But y'all, you keep on being mad at us while they're killing you. Logic has never been a driving force among some people, as you can see. And it never will be. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.